What's going on, great people? This is Danielle Pierce coming to you live on FlyToBeingQueen.com, the network for melanated women like you. You guys do me a favor, come in, like the video, subscribe to the page if you have not already. If you're brand new to the show, welcome. Hopefully you'll come back and see me. I'm here every Tuesday and Thursday. If you're a repeating subscriber, just come in and say, hey girl, appreciate you guys for watching. So quick, do me a favor. Text Queens to 31996 to be notified when we go live. Again, that's Queens to 31996 to be notified when we go live. And of course, if you have a business you're looking to start or grow, check out flynubianmoney.com and flynubianbusiness.com. Today, of course, we're still talking about Nipsey Hussle. And then for those of you who are like, oh my God, they keep talking about Nipsey, they just trying to make money off of his platform. It's not even really about that. It's not even about that actually in the slightest for anyone, and especially not for me. And I'm gonna tell you why. I think what's happened, to be honest, I think what's happening is that a lot of us in America, a lot of Black people in America, we're experiencing a form of post-traumatic stress disorder. And I've read about this before, and I'm just kind of like, I'm not sure if that's true. But with this particular situation right here, I just feel like it's a form of PTSD, meaning that so many of us have cousins, brothers, sons, etc., who have dealt with the police, and they've gotten, and it hasn't, been in their favor. We know so many people who've died from gun violence or died from at the hands of the police. I give the story about my someone in my family, my brother actually, who, went down a wrong path, years ago. And he actually ended up being shot in the face at one point, and he was facing 60 years prison time at one point. And he was able to, navigate that situation. But within that dealing with the police, you understand me? Within that dealing with the police, there's a lot that goes into that. And then the results of that, again, are just traumatic for the person experienced, again, for the people who love them as well. So today I just want to have a quick conversation with you guys and just really ask the question, what do you think based on what you've seen, what you've heard, what everybody is saying, the videos that you've watched? What do you think about this situation? Do you think that this man was in fact killed by his own community, by his own people, the people that he was working to uplift? Or do you think that, like some other people saying that this is a conspiracy? You got people who are saying stay woke, it's not what you think it is. What do you guys really think about the situation? And again, I'm not here to, cast judgment or talk shit about anybody or be like, oh, people are stupid for not believing this. At the end of the day, we're all guessing. Nobody really knows what happened except for the people who did it. You understand what I'm saying, for the most part. But I mean, I think that there's a lot that we can talk about in this one conversation right here. Hey, Medina. Hey, Arlene. Thank you guys for watching. So again, come in and say hey, share the video, bring your people, share your comments, post your viewpoints. I'd love to know what you guys think. I'm going to tell you what I think. I'm going to tell you, we're going to have a little bit of a history lesson as well. For those of you who are, like, oh my gosh, I can't believe y'all are saying this is a conspiracy. Why would you think that about the U.S. government? We're going to talk about that as well, too. All right. Arlene says she has mixed views. I kind of have that same perspective as well, Arlene. All right. So you guys, do me a favor, hit the thumbs up if you haven't already. That helps us with the YouTube algorithm, helps us with the numbers, helps the video get out to more people. This is social media, and it's all about, the numbers game. All right. So again, I'm your host, Danielle Pierce. I'm a contributor on FlyNubianQueen.com. I'm here every Tuesday and Thursday, 11 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. Primarily, I talk about real estate, entrepreneurship, tax liens, etc. But today we're going to continue this conversation about Nipsey Hussle, his death, his life, and what he stood for. So again, you guys come in, say hey, let me know how you guys are doing. Let me know where you're watching from. Love to hear from you. Love your feedback as well. The idea that they want to tell us in the media, which is pretty common, is that, this was just some nigga shit. That this was just, Black folks killing each other, shooting each other. This is what they do. This is how we roll. This is how we get down. This is how we solve problems. This is how we, carry ourselves through life, is by, shooting and killing each other every chance that we get. And I'm from Chicago. I've mentioned that before. You see it a lot in a place like Chicago, because I swear to God, if you ever read these headlines about the shootings, like there was just, oh my gosh, even just this week, there was a 15-year-old shot at a bus stop on 79th Street in Colfax, I think. And then there was some other children, two other boys shot and killed. And all they ever say, I promise you, at the end of the headline is no suspects in custody, and it's a suspected gang situation, like damn near 90% of the time. So the idea, the impression that you would have, even as a Black person, right? This works for everybody. The impression that you walk away with is that, damn, everybody, all these young Black boys in Chicago are in gangs. All of them are violent. All of them are prone to shooting and killing each other at the drop of a dime, and that's just what it is. But is it really that, though? Can we honestly say that we think that every single shooting that has happened in Chicago or in other places is gang related? Can we honestly, legitimately say that? Or is that the narrative that they want us to actually believe? So again, we see that same, this is just nigga shit mentality a lot. And I'm just wanted you guys to, I'm just encouraging you to take a step back today. I'm not telling you which way to think, what to believe. You believe what you want to believe at the end of the day. But I am going to encourage you to take a step back and just think for a minute. Just think for a minute. Just think for a minute. All right. That's all we doing today. We practicing thinking and critical analysis and rationalization and just logical thought. That's it. We ain't throwing out no theories. We ain't, bash nobody. We ain't talking shit. We're just talking about, let's take a step back and let's think about this situation logically for a minute. And again, most of us know, at least I know, of course, all of us aren't going around shooting and killing each other. That ain't how I solve my problems. Right? My immediate family, that ain't how we solve our problems. I mean, yeah, we argue and do dumb shit and fight, but does everybody just break out a gun and start shooting and stabbing each other? Of course not. And I would dare say that more often than not, that's true for most of us. That's true for most of us. So why then do we accept the narrative so readily that we see in the media that, everything is about a gang, everything is about violence, everything is about the fact that we don't know how to handle conflict? Why do we do that? At the vigil last night, again, we're talking about Nipsey Hussle. I was watching the news headlines. Let me tell you something interesting that I saw about these headlines. In the beginning, they were like, there's violence and chaos at this vigil for Nipsey Hussle, and there's reports of gunshots. Then they came back and said that no, there weren't actually any gunshots, and then they were saying that it might be stabbings that were taking place. But you see what happened right there? So for people who don't follow the headlines, or for people who don't take the time to look further than the headline of the article, they'll walk away and tell the next person that, yeah, they shooting at the vigil. You know what I'm saying? These niggas don't know how to act. Somebody got shot. Here they go shooting and killing each other. But that really wasn't what happened. But that was the headline though. So I'm asking you, was that a mistake, or was it intentional? Was it a mistake or was it intentional? Which one was it? That again, headline, first they're saying it's shooting, then they're saying it's a stabbing, and I think now they're saying that people were hurt in a stampede. But I want you to pay attention to how the narrative shifted and the damage that's done, the irrevocable damage that's done with that very first headline about, oh, they're shooting each other. Because I ain't gonna even say half. 90% of people who see that shit gonna take it and run with it and make videos and make blog posts and make social media posts. And before you know it, everybody gonna be like, oh, somebody else got shot at the vigil. But that really didn't happen though, did it? That didn't really happen. For those of you who say things like, and then I'm specifically talking to, I guess, the woke community or the non-woke community. I'm just talking to everybody today. For those of you who say things like, why don't black people get together? Why we don't unify? Why we don't come together? Why we can't have shit? Why we all crabs in a barrel? Why we always destroying each other? Let me run through just a brief, and you could find dozens more examples throughout history, but I'm just going to take you through a walk down memory lane and show you the result of what has happened when black people do try to come together, when they have come together to create businesses, create communities, and create thriving communities. We just gonna talk about what's happened, when we've done that throughout history, historically, since we've been here. You understand me? Since we've been here, it's never not been any other way. All right. So if you guys are just coming in again, I'm Danielle Pierce, the creator. I'm the contributor on flytobeingqueen.com. I'm here every Tuesday and Thursday, 11 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. We have Queen Vicky here on YouTube as well at 6:30 Eastern, again, Monday through Thursday. And then we have so many other great queens on the Facebook page as well. We encourage you to follow both. Our goal is to bring you Black excellence across politics, entertainment, hair, makeup, of course, entrepreneurship, business, etc. So we want to be able to reach you directly in the event that these platforms shut down, because Facebook and YouTube are fickle. They do what they want to do at the end of the day. Okay, so subscribe at flynubianqueen.com. Text Queens to 31996 to be notified when we go live. Check out Fly Nubian Money and flynubianbusiness.com if you have a business you're looking to start or grow as well. And yeah, that's pretty much it for the housekeeping. If you want to be a contributor, we are looking for new people. Send us an email at producer@flynubianmedia.com. Again, producer@flynubianmedia.com. Today, we're still talking about Nipsey Hussle. We're talking about, is it really just some nigga shit? Is it really just the idea that black folks are killing and shooting each other because we don't know how to handle our problems? Because we fucking I don't know, cave monkeys, or we don't know how to handle things, or is it something else going on? Okay. You guys do me one more favor, hit the thumbs up button. Definitely appreciate that. It helps us with the numbers, the algorithm. Just hit the thumbs up button if you're still watching, because again, it does, help us out. Okay. All right. So let's talk about, history and about this idea that we don't know how to come together. We don't know how to build communities. We don't know how to, not shoot and kill and stab each other up. We don't know how to, not take care of our families. Let's take a little bit of a brief history lesson. And some of this stuff I found out fairly recently. Like, I'm 39 years old, and some of this shit I just found out within the past couple of years. I'm sorry to say. But some of the stuff I've known for a while. Seneca Village, Black, successful Black owned, Black prosperous town. This was in, of course, New York. You guys can look this up if when you have time. Seneca Village in New York. Seneca Village, again, successful community. Guess what Seneca Village is right now? It was torn down to make way for Central Park. That's community number one. And we can talk about another city, another neighborhood in New York. It's called the Five Points District. Okay, Five Points District. Guess what the Five Points District is right now? Five Points District was primarily Black, prosperous, thriving, successful community of entrepreneurs and business owners and people taking care of their families. You understand me? Guess what it is now? It's Wall Street. Five Points District is now what Wall Street is today. That's what it is now. So that's what happened to that Black community. So now we're on the second one. So we have the second community of folks who came together, made shit happen, did what we are supposed to do, what we've always done throughout history. And again, we see the same scenario. One torn down for Central Park, the other one torn down to make way for Wall Street. We've heard about Rosewood. They made a movie about that. Everybody knows about Rosewood. There was a city in Houston, you guys, called Little Harlem. I didn't know this. A city in Houston called um, a city in Houston called Little Harlem, right? A city in Houston called Little Harlem. And again, a same thing happened. Successful community of entrepreneurs, thriving, successful, et cetera, et cetera. And that city was, demolished. I think people started leaving the city for a variety of reasons, but it doesn't exist anymore as it did. But my point is that we've always come together and created thriving communities throughout history. We've always done it. We're not brand new to this, as they would have you thinking. We're not incapable of doing so either. We talked about, so that was a third one. Black Wall Street, everybody knows about that in Oklahoma. I don't need to cover that one, but that's another one. That's probably the most widely known one, right? Black Wall Street. There was another Black Wall Street in a town in Illinois. I forget the name of it, the name of the city, but there was another community that was also destroyed over the years as well. Let me tell you something. We don't even have to go back to the 20s, 30s, 40s, and 50s. Look at what's happening in Ferguson. When you get some time, look at what's happened to the Black activists in Ferguson, Missouri, that have died under crazy ass circumstances since that situation a couple of years ago. Look it up. I think there was, at last count I saw, there was like 7 or 8. A lot of them are young Black dudes. I'm talking like 21, 22 years old. One lady found her son hanging in her backyard. This was a couple of months ago, and they said that he had committed suicide. True story. True story. And you have to ask yourself, like, this shit is not even out. It's not even covert. It's not even like, they're trying to hide it at this point. It's literally history repeating itself right in front of our eyes, right in front of everybody with their, cell phone camera and their video recording. It's right out in the open, and it's happening. Look at what's happening in Ferguson. If you don't believe me, if you dismiss, these conspiracy theories and make fun of people who call themselves woke and say, oh, y'all always, trying to sound all deep and extra. All you got to do, when I hear stuff like that, I'm honestly a little bit sad and disappointed, because it's like, it's not a question of being woke. It's not a question of being, quote unquote, too deep and trying to do too much. It's really a matter of just thinking, and really a matter of, have you ever looked at anything throughout history? When I hear people say stuff like that, when I see that type of shit on social media, I'm like, okay, this person clearly is not a student. This person only gets their news and their knowledge from YouTube videos, from social media, and from the TV. Because if you took even, a good hour, that's all you need, a good hour to start. That'll get you started. You start looking at history and looking at What's happened, looking at the things that have been verified throughout history that have been proven to be true, the things that have happened against Black people, you can't help but kind of look at everything sideways and be quote unquote a conspiracy theorist, in my opinion, right? I could be wrong about that, but I'm just saying. If you look at, what's another recent example? There's a book about medical experimentation on Black women. I forget the name of the author. You can Google and look it up. But if you look at that and you read that book and you hear those stories and you watch the commentary on YouTube, if you look at that shit, you're going to be like, wow. And I'm not talking 75 years ago. I'm talking fairly up to, 75 years ago, yes, but also up to fairly recent times as well. They experimented on Black women, for a variety of different reasons to uncover, to quote unquote, find out for cures for different things, but it happened. And of course, everybody knows about the, incident, and where was that at? The syphilis experiment, where they gave Black men syphilis on purpose to watch them die to see how they reacted to it. This is all true stories. So why dismiss, quote unquote, people who think that there's a conspiracy theorist about Nipsey Hussle being, killed in front of his store in broad daylight? Like, why are we so quick to dismiss that and so quick to, ride for the team that has historically done nothing but, oppress us? Why are we so quick to do that? Black Panther Party. We've talked about that. I mean, people are familiar with that. The Black Panther story. They've done such a great job, such a great and magnificent job at dismantling the Black Panther Party, right? From the inside out. They've done such a great job doing that they don't even have to say anything bad about the Black Panther Party in 2019. Because we do it all for them. And I'm not just talking about white folks, Black people do it too. You have to really dig and get into some of the, books that were written, and maybe even watch some of the documentaries on the Black Panther to really see just how vicious that whole situation was over during that time frame. It was damn near surgical. That's the word I'm going to use. It was surgical how they dismantled the Black Panther Party. That's the word for the day. Surgical, precise, right? They didn't leave no stone unturned. Planting people inside inside the party to create dissension. And then when the party split, planting people in both sides of the party to create dissension and turmoil and chaos. And then sit back and say, oh, look, they're destroying each other. Oh, look, they don't know how to handle conflict. Oh, look, they're fighting and arguing. Just what we knew that they were going to do anyway. But that was intentional. And it was multiple people that were planted. Like, this was a whole movement that was done for the Black Panther Party, to the point now where, again, they don't even have to say shit bad about it at this point, because we do all the dirty work for them. If you don't believe in conspiracies, I got another one for you. I found out about this last year, since we're going here today. I got another one for you. When we talk about, and again, I'm not bashing gay people, so don't come in the comments talking about, oh, you talking shit about gay people. That ain't what this is about. I'm just telling you some facts, which you can then go independently verify. All right? Is that cool? There's a guy, his name is Tyrone. I forget his last name. He did a TED Talk. And let me tell you what this TED Talk was about. Tyrone is a scientist, and he was hired by Monsanto, I believe, to study the effect of some chemical, right? So he started doing his job that they paid him to do, studying the chemical for Monsanto. Again, this is his job. And he found, before I get to that story, let me do some quick housekeeping. You guys subscribe to flytobigqueen.com if you have not already. Text Queens to 31996 to be notified when we go live. And of course, you can find out more information about me right here on YouTube, on my YouTube channel under Danielle Pierce, and also at economicelevation.com. Back to the conspiracy theorists, for the people who can't figure out why people are always saying that everything is a conspiracy and y'all sound stupid and y'all sound this, that, and the third. Let's go back to Tyrone, right? Tyrone's a scientist. He did a TED Talk. He was studying this chemical for Monsanto. He found out that this chemical was getting into the water. Stay with me now. I'm going somewhere with this. He found out that this chemical was getting into the water supply. It was affecting the frogs. How about this chemical that he was hired to study was turning the male frogs into females, and not only turning the male frogs into female frogs, it was allowing the male frogs to reproduce So they were then able to basically become, basically go from male to female. True story. I'm not making this shit up. It sounds like science fiction. It sounds like a conspiracy theorist, or y'all always talking that shit. Look him up. His name is Tyrone. What did the company do? They came out and did they tried to do a whole campaign. And this came out after the fact. It was internal documents that were released where their number one goal was to discredit this man. Say he was crazy, say he was lying, say that he wasn't qualified. He didn't know what he was doing. And again, they hired him to do his job. He did his job, went back and reported the results, and they let his ass go. They was like, all right, you got to go. This is not the results that we was looking for. So when we talk about, all the epidemic supposedly of Black men or people being gay or Black men being gay and becoming quote unquote, more feminine, this, that, and the third. When we talk about that shit and we talk about maybe it's something in the water, maybe it's something in the water. Maybe it is, because if it had that effect on frogs, what effect does it have on humans? And again, this is a true fucking story. You can look it up. He's a scientist. He does TED Talks. He has books. Brilliant brother. Brilliant. He took his research back to the company that hired him and said, you know what, this is what I'm finding, and then when he tried to basically see if he could reverse so the male frogs would turn into female frogs. They would get, obviously ovaries and eggs and all of this, and they reproduce. He tried to see if he could reverse that to see if maybe you could, if they would, go back masculine or go back into being a male. And the reverse wasn't true. So once you went from male to female, you basically stayed a female, right? And I know this sounds hella crazy, right? It sounds like, oh, you just making some shit up. Oh, you just part of this fake woke community. Oh, you just talking out the side of your neck. This is true. This is real science. And this is just one story that happened to get out. So just imagine, right, Tyrone's life if those internal documents hadn't been made public. I don't know how they make got public. That part of the story I forget. But just imagine if those documents hadn't come out. He would look like a crazy, deranged, uneducated, right, unskilled conspiracy theorist. That's what he would look like if those documents hadn't come out, proving that the company set out on a mission to discredit him in the public eye. True story. Look it up. So when we talk about, this whole idea of the government, being a conspiring against Black people, I'm like, well, shit, when have they not? You understand what I'm saying? When have they not? Look at the schools. Look at the disparity in the educational system. Look at the schools in poor communities, poor Black communities versus even poor white communities. Look at the disparity between poor Black communities and their wealthier white counterparts. Look at what's happening. Look at the lack of resources to one and the influx of resources to the other. Is that not a conspiracy, ladies and gentlemen? Is it not? Because what happens from there? What happens from there? They're predicting, and again, I forget who initially made this information public, but they predict supposedly the prison population based off of 4th grade reading score. So basically, if your ass can't read, it's a high probability that your ass gonna end up going to jail. Is that not a conspiracy? Is it not? Somebody help me out here. Is it not a conspiracy? Look at the prison system. Look at the disparity in sentencing. There was a guy. So, and again, we're talking about true stories, real life events. This just happened. So the guy who beat up the lady in, I think it was Dallas, right? The guy who beat her up initially got out of jail right away with a $1,500 bond. Okay. And apparently he beat the brakes off of this lady. I didn't watch that video because, again, I really am strongly, feel that, the PTSD that I'm suffering or that we're suffering collectively is a real thing. So I didn't watch it because I didn't want to see a Black woman getting the shit beat out of her, on camera. I didn't want to see that. But I've heard that the video was, very graphic, very tragic, and he beat her ass. He got out on a $1,500 bond. There was another video circulating about 2 cops. This was, I think, in New York, and there was a guy on a hospital bed, white guy. He was suicidal, and apparently they had been, talking shit to him. One video I saw, they slapped the shit out of him twice to the point where he started bleeding. And this man was supposedly like a psychiatric patient, right? Those cops, and again, I'm not laughing because it's funny. So for those who don't come in the comments talking crazy. Um, those two cops were fired, and I want to say they got 5 years in jail. So you beat the shit out of a black woman and you get out the next day on a $1,500 bond. You slap a white guy in a hospital bed and record yourself like a dumbass, right? And you go to jail for 5 years. Is that not a conspiracy? Is that not a conspiracy? Since we're talking about, conspiracy theorists are crazy, this, that, and the third. Is it not a conspiracy that that type of shit happens right in front of us? It happens so much that we are surprised when the outcome is anything different. We're surprised when we get some level of justice. You guys, do me a favor, hit the like button, hit the thumbs up button on this video. Take the time to do that. It definitely helps us out. It's free to you, don't cost nothing. We ain't asking for no money, but do hit the thumbs up button on the video. It helps us with the numbers, with the algorithms, helps us get the video out to as many people as we possibly can. So I'm asking you all today, since we're talking about, the idea that Black people can't come together, we can't create our own communities. Why don't we start our own bank? Why don't we do this? Why don't we do that? We've done it consistently throughout history. We've done it consistently throughout history. And every time, without exception, it has been destroyed, dismantled, discredited without exception. That's a fact. That's a fact. There's no need to argue about, oh, you conspiracy theorists, oh, you just, all you got to do, look at the stories that we talked about. Seneca Village is now Central Park. Five Points District was also primarily Black, primarily successful entrepreneurs, business owners, men taking care of their families. That is now Wall Street. And you got to wonder, you almost got to sit back and wonder and appreciate like I said, the how surgical the shit actually was and is throughout history. Like, well, do you think it was a mistake that they took successful Black towns and destroyed them to make way for, Central Park and for Wall Street? Do we think that that's a mistake, or do we think that that's intentional? What do you guys think? We talked about Rosewood. Everybody's familiar with that story. Well, most people are. The little town in Houston called Little Harlem, which again, that's brand new to me. I'll admit that. I'm just giving you brand new information with that point. The Black Panther Party, surgical, destroyed, dismantled, discredited. You can't, you can, if you hard pressed to find a single person, really Black or white, that'll tell you something good about the Black Panther Party. And they did a whole bunch of things good. They did a whole bunch of things bad, but a whole lot of good. But all of that was dismissed. All of that. Black Wall Street in Oklahoma, another one, destroyed. There was another Black Wall Street, I forget the name of it, in a town called Illinois, destroyed. Ferguson, damn near all the activists have been, a lot of them say they've been threatened repeatedly. The ones who are still alive say they've been threatened continuously, for the past 2 years. Killed, murdered, found, with a bullet hole to the head, found in a car that had been set on fire, right out in the open, you guys, right out in the open. It's not even being hidden at this point. And Ferguson is a small town. So what are the odds that all of these people connected to this one incident would have such violent deaths? Like statistically, that shit has got to be unheard of in a town the size of Ferguson. We talked about how they planted people in the Black Panther Party, the schools, the prison system. Look at the jobs. Do you not think that all of that is a conspiracy? Since from the time that you're born, are we really not able to recognize that for what it is? And we talk about a place like Chicago. Again, I left Chicago. The school system in Chicago is some shit that it defies logic. So if you don't live in the neighborhood where a decent school is at, then you got to go through all this long selection process and take these exams and drive your child an hour each way, or put them on the bus or put them on a train, right? And risk something happening to them on the way to school and from school. You got to jump through all these hoops and hurdles if you want your child to get a halfway decent education in Chicago. If you don't live in the neighborhood, which happens to have a good neighborhood school. What kind of shit is that? So if I don't live where I'm supposed to live, then my child got to go to this shitty school where it's violent. The teachers do not give a fuck. The other students do not care. I got to worry about my child's life every single day going to school. That's the reality. Are we not aware that that's a conspiracy? Black men, there was a study, and I talked about this probably a couple of months ago. Um, there was an article that came out, and it said that even for Black men who are born rich in America, that there is a high probability that they will still die broke. The study also said that the odds of going to jail are the same for a Black man with a net worth of $1 million and a white man with a GED and a net worth of, I think it was $30,000. True story. If you look up the article, I think it was called, like, I forget the name of it, but if you Google it, just Google Black man, born wealthy, die broke. That should get you to the article. And it was so heartbreaking and so sad. And it's just like, sometimes you read some of this shit and you just like, you know what? It is too much to take in. Like, it is too much. It's too depressing. It's too frustrating. It's just almost like, well, what are you supposed to do? So you mean to tell me I do what I'm supposed to do, right? I go out here and defy odds and become wealthy, become a millionaire. I have children. I have a Black son. So he grows up with money. He grows up wealthy. He grows up going to the best schools, the best colleges, the best upbringing, that money can buy, supposedly. And then you're telling me that based on the odds and based on history and based on just statistical data, that there's still a high probability that he will die broke after having, quote unquote, achieved the American dream? That's what you're telling me? Is that not a conspiracy? Is it not? You guys who are just tuning in, today we're talking about Nipsey Hussle. I'm your host, Danielle Pierce. We're talking about this idea of whether or not he was actually destroyed by the community that he worked so hard to build, that he worked within, and that he basically stood up for, or was it something else? I don't know the answer either way. I mean, I wasn't there. The people that are from LA or from the area are saying that, it was somebody that he knew. It was, quote unquote, some nigga shit, some hating shit. That's what they're saying. I don't know. I don't know. I look at history. I look at all the times we've come together. I look at all the towns that we've built and the businesses that we've built and the times that we've come together to do what we're supposed to do. And I look at the results of that, and I'm just not sure. I can't make a declaration either way. I can't stand on one side and be like, yeah, that's true. I do know that the mainstream media, there is a narrative that's pushed continuously, nonstop, 24/7. And that narrative is that Black men are violent, Black men are in gangs, Black women are this, Black women are that it's continuously pushed. I saw somebody say that once you're in a gang, you can't get out. I kind of, I had some thoughts about that as well. I was just thinking to myself, this whole idea of turning your life around, this whole idea of getting a second chance at life, of seeing the light, supposedly, is that something that is that second chance afforded to Black men in the same way that it is to, white men? And I really was wondering, like, is it even possible to do that? Is it possible to do dirt, presumably commit crimes, rob people, commit gun violence, sell drugs to the community? Is it possible to take that scenario and flip it around and become, a successful person who no longer rapes the community, who no longer sells drugs to the community, who no longer, pulls the resources away and instead gives their time and resources to the community? Is that possible? Is that really possible to do? In the movies, they tell you that you watch most of the movies that you see, it's like at the end, it's like you have the guy who's in the gang, and then he tries to turn his life around, and right when he's about to leave the city, or right when he's about to go and marry that girl that he's always been in love with, he gets shot and killed. And it's really kind of what happened in this scenario too with Nipsey. From what I can tell, he was in a relationship with Lauren London. Stand up brother, did a lot for the community, over the past several years, buying up the block, promoting Black entrepreneurship, hiring Black people, building a STEM center. So he did, a lot in the short time that he was here. He did far more than most of us will ever do. I do have to go on record saying that. from the outside looking in. He did a lot of what, he did more than what most people will ever do. So I have to give him credit for that. But I wonder, is it possible to outrun the shit that you did, when you was out here doing dirt? That's what I wonder. That's what I wonder. And I don't know the answer to that. I do know that the Black people, particularly Black men in general, aren't afforded the same second chances. Even if we just talk about, the school system, acting up in school, if you are a Black boy and you have problems at school and you're acting out and you act in a certain type of way, you ain't gonna get too many chances to keep, turning that shit around. They're going to expel you, suspend you, send you to an alternative school. It's gonna happen pretty quickly. Whereas, for a white male counterpart, that situation may not be the same. They'll work with them, they'll find resources, they'll find a way to kind of work with the child and figure out what his issues actually are. So we see that from a very young age, even, carrying further on. So I don't know if we'll get the same chances that everybody else does. I would be remiss if I didn't talk about the hatred, though, that's in the Black community. So again, I don't want to just categorically say that, this was another Black dude shot him because he was a hater and he was this, that, and the third, and, he was jealous. I don't want to believe that all of us are violent, that all Black men kill each other, that all of us are in gangs, that they don't know how to fucking act. Like, that's not what I choose to believe. That's not even my reality. It's not even what I see in my day-to-day life. That's not even what I see, to be honest. It's not what I see. But I'd be remiss if I didn't talk about the hatred that is within the Black community, that I do happen to see almost on a daily basis, mainly online, but sometimes in real life as well. I see that self-hatred playing out. So a lot of us are consumed with hatred of ourselves, and that carries out to hatred of pretty much all of the Black people. A lot of us are consumed. If we're talking about Black-owned businesses, so on the one hand, people are like, oh, Black-owned businesses, they ain't shit, they this, that, and the third, they messy, they late, they disorganized. Okay, there's some of that. That's some of that in every business. But on the other hand, you got some really outstanding Black entrepreneurs. But I promise you, I do see some of us, some of y'all, foaming at the mouth, waiting for the chance to cancel a Black-owned business and talk shit about them and blast them on social media and go viral, making videos and shit. I do see that. I do see that. Some of us are so we because we don't like ourselves and we've been taught to hate ourselves or our skin color or our people, that when we see other Black people that are trying to do better or actually are doing better, we are triggered. We are triggered to the point where we like set out. I don't even want to say we set out on a mission to like discredit them and destroy them, but some of y'all do. Some of y'all do. Some of y'all are waiting for the chance to just jump over. Like, I knew that shit was a scam. I knew y'all wasn't shit. Black-owned businesses ain't shit. Y'all call yourself entrepreneurs. Like, some of y'all are waiting for that because you feel so unqualified and so uneducated yourself. When you see somebody else who's rising above that, it fucks with your brain and you can't think logically. I do see that. Not every day, but I see it a lot. So I wonder in the situation with Nipsey, I wonder if the people around him, you understand what I'm saying? If everybody saw the same vision that he did. A lot of us get in trouble because we see something for ourselves. We have a vision and we try to take everybody and their mama with us. We like, shit, I figured it out. Everybody, let's go. We're going to get this money. We're going to do this. We're going to buy these properties. We're going to start this business. And we want to carry the whole hood, or for most of us, our whole family on our back. But how many of you know that that's not possible? How many of you know that that's not possible? You can't take everybody with you. And in fact, you shouldn't, because your vision ain't supposed to be visible to anybody else anyway. So they're not going to see what you see. But some of us, because we are kind-hearted, we want to bless everybody. We want to, share. There's this idea that, a lot of us don't share resources, but that's really not true. Some of us do. I do. But there's this idea that we want to take them all with us to experience the same thing that we are, to kind of improve everybody's life. That's not going to be possible. So I wonder, in the case of Nipsey Hussle, if his immediate circle surrounding him, if everybody really was on the same page, if everybody really saw the value in, not leaving the gang lifestyle, because he said himself that you don't really leave it. That's not possible. You can kind of shift your energy, but you can't leave it. He did say that. So I wonder if everybody else is on that same page with him. I wonder if everybody else saw the value in buying property and buying up the block. I wonder if everybody else saw the value in hiring other Black entrepreneurs. I wonder if everybody else saw the value in creating a STEM center, and closing the gap between the hood and Silicon Valley. I wonder if everybody else saw that. Odds are probably that they didn't. That's just keeping it real. Right? I want to be optimistic. I want to be hopeful. I want to believe the best about everybody, but just given what I know and what I see, even on just social media, like some of y'all are just some fucking haters. Like I hate to say that, but some of y'all really are literally just waiting for a chance to just be able to say, "Oh, I knew it. I knew it wasn't gonna work. I knew this was some bullshit, and you didn't prove me right." Some of y'all are waiting for that chance to do that. So I wonder if he had some people in his circle with that same mentality. And I'm guessing that he probably did. I'm guessing that he probably did. Right? He probably had some haters around him. The question then becomes, what do you do? Everybody can't be saved. We know that. I think we all can agree on that. Everybody can't be saved. But do you leave the community? That's the question. And I guess I could be said I left the community. I left Chicago, right? But do you leave the community? And I don't think that that's the answer. Siobhan says, "Help the hood from far away." That was funny. Help the hood from far away. That's Siobhan's advice. I hear you. Um, I don't think leaving is the answer. I don't think that's the long-term solution for the collective. It's definitely a solution if you're short-sighted and all you care about is your family. And sad to say, I see a lot of people have that mentality. They're like, fuck protecting Black women in general, forget about protecting the community. I'm going to take care of me and mine. That's what I'm going to do. That's my focus. I'm not going to worry about everybody else. And so I understand why people do that. I don't necessarily think that that's the long-term solution, but I get the logic, because sometimes you feel like maybe what you're doing isn't enough, or you feel like you don't even know what to do. Like sometimes for me, I don't know what the fuck to do. Like I don't know. I look at, and I've seen the results of kids who grow up, with not just not having a father, but really not having a mother. They grew up in the streets from a young age. They're catching a bus at 5 years old in Chicago. They're walking home from school. They're, letting themselves into the house. They're cooking their own food. They're basically raising themselves. And I've seen children who live in Chicago. Maybe they live on the South Side, and they've never been downtown. We're talking a distance of maybe 12 miles, you guys, maybe, probably less than that, depending upon where you leaving from. A 12-mile radius, but they've never been downtown Chicago. They don't even know what it looks like. So there are literally two Chicagos for a lot of people in the city, a lot of Black folks in the city. There's two Chicagos. There's downtown Millennium Park, the Magnificent Mile, there's that and the third, and then there's the hood where you live. You have some people who never leave the like a 1 mile like a 1 mile radius from where their house is. They never go outside of that. The world doesn't exist outside of that 1 mile block of turf for them. So when you have that and you're incubating that for decade after decade, and you see the results, of like, I get it on one hand. I get that breeds crime, that breeds, lack of education and ignorance. It goes hand in hand. Like, the shit ain't no mystery. When there's no education, there's gonna be no jobs, and there's no jobs, crime go up. None of us need a sociology degree to know that. So I get it on the one hand, but on the other hand, it's like, what do I do? Do I put myself out there and become, be the next hashtag, or risk becoming the next hashtag? Do you try to pull people up from where they are into a different space? Sometimes that's not necessarily appreciated. So what do you actually do in practice? It's one thing to be preaching on social media, another thing to read these articles and say do this, that, and the third, but what do you do in real life on a day-to-day basis? How do you navigate that? And some people just fucking leave. They just like, you know what, I can't save these. I can't save some of these kids. Matter of fact, I can't save none of these kids. Because some of them I do really think are too far gone, to be honest. Can't save everybody. But some people are just like, fucking, I ain't saving nobody. I don't have time. I don't have the resources. I don't have the energy. I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do. Stewart says people talk responsibility but leave where they come from, then turn around and point fingers are the biggest part of the problem. I can see that. I can see that. Can't leave a situation that you neglected to address and then point your finger and blame them. Like I don't necessarily agree with that. This is not me blaming anybody for anything. I'm just pointing out the day-to-day reality. You see this situation, you know what it's like, you know what it leads to, you know where these kids are headed. But what do you do on a day-to-day basis is the question. How do you move? How do you navigate? Who do you contact? What do you do? That's the question. And some of us are just leaving the community entirely. I don't think everybody, hates each other and can't work together. I do think that there are some of us who we just we don't like ourselves and we don't like other Black people. We think that we can't be successful, so we presume that no other Black folks can be successful as well. That I know for a fact, because that I do see. That I do see. Siobhan says, try to put the younger ones on. And then Santana says people don't always get killed from gang violence. I think that's another conspiracy that needs to be talked about. Yeah. I mean, I talked about it before about these shootings on the interstate in Chicago. Like, I mean, shit, we got all these cameras. You can catch somebody turning the corner, on a red light from a mile away, but you can't see who's letting off, all these incidents of shootings over the past like year and a half. We can't figure out who's doing that, who's shooting up the expressway randomly. We can't figure that out. We can't figure out where the missing Black women have gone in Chicago. I talked about a couple of weeks ago. I was doing a video and then we were talking about Jussie, of course, and everybody was like, I just thought Chicago was just so full of shit because there's so many other things Chicago could be worried about. Mainly the fact that some people think that there has been a serial killer on the loose in Chicago for the last like 20 years. There are women being found stuffed in garbage cans that have been found over the past year consistently, being found in abandoned houses, being found in alleyways, and nobody is saying or doing anything about it. The shit don't even make the news for the most part. It's spread through social media stories and social media videos and Facebook Lives. That's real. So, you guys, if you're just tuning in again, I'm your host, Danielle Pierce, coming to you live on FlyToBeQueen.com, the network for melanated women like you. We're just talking today about Nipsey Hussle and about this idea of, is this really Black on Black violence or is there something else going on? You guys, you can text Queens to 31996 to be notified when we go live. Again, that's Queens to 31996. And of course, if you have a business you're looking to start or grow, check out FlyNubianMoney.com and FlyNubianBusiness.com. I'm here every Tuesday and Thursday, 11 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. Queen Vicky is here every Monday through Thursday, 6:30 Eastern Standard Time. If you want to be a contributor on our platform, we're looking for new people to join us. You can send an email to producer@flynubianmedia.com. Again, that's producer@flynubianmedia.com. Just want to have a quick conversation with you guys. And just at the end of the day, I don't want to continue to spread the narrative that, this is more Black on Black crime with Nipsey Hussle. I will not, in fact, spread that narrative. I don't want to continue to spread the idea that, we're just violent, angry niggas who just quick to shoot each other over dumb shit. That's not my reality. That really hasn't been my reality. And I don't want to keep putting that out there. I do know that if you look at history, and again, I mentioned some places that you could start. As a matter of fact, you know what? There's an article. It's called History's Lost Black Towns. Somebody type that in the comments. History's Lost Black Towns. If you just start with that article. There's about 10 or 15 cities where, again, successful, thriving, predominantly Black communities that have been destroyed, dismantled, disintegrated. And again, the word of the day is surgically removed from history is what has happened to these Black towns. So again, that article is History's Lost Black Towns. Look that up and start there. There's a lot of great information in there, a lot of stories in there. It will help you shift this perspective that some of you have that, we can't come together and build shit, because that's not true. That's not true. That's not true. All right. So you guys, do me a favor, hit the thumbs up button again if you have not already. Just want to give you another reminder. Helps our numbers, helps the algorithm. Doesn't cost you a penny, but it does help us tremendously. We definitely appreciate that. You can find me here. I'll be back on Thursday, 11 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. If you are brand new to the channel, thank you for watching. If you are a repeat subscriber, welcome back, and I'll see you on Thursday. Sending you guys love, light, peace, blessings, grace, and clarity. Until next time. Talk to you soon.